So Peter, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Sanjay. I'm very well, thank you. Very well.
Okay, okay. And how's the weather there in London?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Okay, 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 okay.
Is everything going okay?
Yeah, yeah. Your voice is clear. If you want, you can check your video also.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm looking here. Namaskar.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Good
Good
morning,
morning,
sir. How are
Peter.
you?
Good morning.
Uh,
Good morning,
Yeah.
Dr. Kumar.
This is our director of the institute, and we have Miss Prerna Bahuguna with us.
We welcome you to this webinar and thank you very much to having agreed to address all of us on such an important issue.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
We are really privileged, and all our students will also be benefited tremendously by your address today.
Okay. Well, I hope that it adds value and that people can use the information with their own ideas and their own startup businesses.
I'm sure
Yeah,
it
definitely.
could be.
Definitely, sir.
Yeah. With your vast experience and knowledge in the subject, I think they'll be lucky to have you with us today.
Well, thank you. Yes, I spent many years doing this kind of work, so hopefully it's enjoyable. And have you got a good audience today?
Pardon?
Have
Yes,
you got
yes.
a good audience?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Agarwal,
Yes, sir.
we were expecting how many? More than 200?
Yeah,
Very
we
good.
got near about 800 registration for today webinar, and we are going to live it on YouTube also.
So you've got over 200, did you say?
Yeah, yeah. Means more than 200 participants are expected to join today webinar.
Okay. Good. Do you have any particular preferences about how I deliver the presentation, or are you okay for me just to sort of present and deliver as I normally would?
Dr. Agarwal, please. I think, sir, after your presentation, Dr. Agarwal will moderate this and ask the audience if they have any questions. We'll keep it at the end of your
PPT,
presentation.
I think PPT is okay, sir. You present your ideas through PPT. I think it's beneficial for the student also.
Okay, okay.
Miss Shiva Jauhari, Dr. Shiva Jauhari have already joined us.
And then we can limit the question answers after your presentation is complete.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And Dr. Agarwal will moderate that. He will ask them.
Okay.
Yeah, any questions, then he will also brief you about the questions which they ask in case you, I mean, because there may be slight, that speech issue may be there because the English we speak and the English you speak will be slightly, maybe at times you may find it difficult to understand what they are asking. So he will assist you in that.
Thank you. And do we start in about 10 minutes?
Yeah, actually we are still 14 minutes time with us. It is 13-16 hours as per Indian Standard Time.
Okay.
I given 13:30 hours as the time for the webinar to start.
Okay. Would it be all right if I just shut down my video and audio for a moment while I just get some preparation done?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yes, yes, you can.
You can do that and join us after 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll do that.
That's
Thank you.
fine.
Okay, thank you.
In the meantime, we just wanted the key persons will coordinate everything so that everything is in order. So we logged in a bit in advance to make sure that when you come online, then everything is in order.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Okay, I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Or what you can do is you can disconnect your video. Let's be connected. and that particular time, after about 10-15 minutes, you can unmute yourself and connect. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
अच्छा संजय जी, हेलो
हेलो हेलो, हाँ सर, हाँ बोलिए।
बताइए, आवाज वगैरह ठीक आ रही है? बिल्कुल,
हाँ, आवाज बिल्कुल है, एकदम परफेक्ट। वीडियो थोड़ा सा कैमरा आप नीचे कर ले तो अच्छा रहेगा। हाँ, अब नाउ इट्स ओके, नाउ इट्स ओके।
अब ठीक है सर?
हाँ, अब बिल्कुल ठीक है सर।
और नीचे करूं?
हाँ, हल्का सा थोड़ा सा और नीचे आ जाए। वो ऊपर हो जा रहा है सर बार बार ना।
सर में अब ठीक है?
यस यस
हैं जी?
यस, इट्स ओके, इट्स ओके।
ओके सर, एक्चुअली कैमरा मैंने ऊपर से अटैच कर रखा है ना, तो मुझे डर ही लगता है कहीं निकल ही ना जाए। फिर मैं आपके उससे लॉगिन मीटिंग आईडी और पासकोड से आया जूम के थ्रू।
ओके ओके ओके,
कोई इशू नहीं है। अच्छा, आपको मैंने अपना वो तो एड्रेस तो भेज दिया था।
हाँ, इट्स ओके, इट्स ओके।
तो 4-5 मिनट लगेंगे उसमें। प्रेरणा, हाउ आर यू बेटा? गुड मॉर्निंग। हेलो बेटा, गुड मॉर्निंग।
मॉर्निंग सर, नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार नमस्कार, कैसी है बच्चे?
हाँ जी सर, आई एम गुड, आई एम फाइन सर।
यू आर गुड?
यस सर, यस।
That's nice. That's nice. Okay. Then
Yes,
you tell me when you are going to anchor the program today.
Yes sir, I will do the anchoring, and Dr. Shiva Jauhari, she is going to introduce the guests.
Actually, she's going to introduce the guest. Shiva is also there.
Yes, yes, sir.
She will introduce the guest.
Yes.
Who will ask me to give my?
I will ask. I will ask.
So, beta, you then you just mentioned
Yes,
that
sir.
so and so
Yes, sir.
will formally welcome our
Yes.
guest today and tell you something about our institute and brief about our institute.
Institute. Okay, sir.
So I'm going to talk mainly about our college.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, it's more of a introduction about the college.
Yes, sir.
Then because welcome to बेटे आप लोग formally उनको introduce करेंगे इस सबको।
Yes, sir.
ना बेटा आप लोग बताएंगे सब उनके बारे में, दोनों के बारे में डिटेल में।
Yes, sir.
So I will only be briefly touching on them, welcoming them by their names and
Yes,
designations.
sir.
And बच्चे फिर मैं I'll be talking about the college.
ठीक है, ठीक है.
Okay. About 5 minutes time, 5 to 6 minutes. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's fine. It's fine.
Thank you. अच्छा बेटा, अभी जैसे मैंने ऐसे खोल लिया,
हाँ जी सर।
तो is there any problem?
सर इट इज सर अग्रवाल सर, ये अभी स्ट्रीमिंग हो रहा है यूट्यूब में हमारा। सर इट इज आई थिंक लाइव, इट इज लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग ऑन यूट्यूब राइट नाउ।
Okay, okay.
The person you're calling The number you have dialed.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Shiva.
Yeah.
There you are. Yeah.
Kanika is also coming.
Good afternoon, madam. Is everything okay at your end?
Yeah, sir. Everything is fine.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Prerna, where is your phone?
हाँ जी सर, यस सर।
अच्छा बेटा ये बताओ, मैंने अपना वो खोल रखा है इस पे, जो मुझे पढ़ना है, कोई इशू तो नहीं है?
So the chief guest of the day, Miss Ashok Windlas, have already joined us.
Good afternoon, Peter, sir.
Good afternoon.
So our chief guest have already joined. Peter sir is Mr. Ashok Windlas. He is a renowned industrialist in India. He is a pharma unit, Windlas Biotech Limited. So it's 1:30, 1:28 now. So we start within 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
So Arun sir, shall we start? Arun sir, shall we start? Unmute please, sir, unmute.
Yeah, I have unmuted myself. Yeah, we can start. Mr. Harrington is already there. How about Dr. Ashok Windlas, our chief guest?
Yeah. He has already joined.
He's already there. Then we can start. We must start on time.
Yes. Prerna madam, please.
I'm audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, ma'am. You are available.
Okay. Good afternoon to you all, and I welcome you all here today. Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Ashok Vinlas, Chairperson, Vinlas Biotech Private Limited. Honorable Speaker for the day, Mr. Peter Harrington, serial entrepreneur and CEO, simventure.co.uk, Great Britain. Respected Chairman, Dolphin Institute, Sri Arvind Gupta ji. Principal, Dolphin Institute, Dr. Shalja Pant. Honorable Director, Dolphin Institute, Dr. Arun Kumar. Dr. Sanjay Kumar Agarwal, Head Capacity Building and Skill Development Cell, Dolphin Institute. Members of the organizing committee, and dear participants, I, Prerna Bahuguna, Faculty, Dolphin Institute, welcome you all to this international webinar on validation of startups ideas, organized by Capacity Building and Skill Development Cell, Dolphin Institute of Physical and Natural Sciences, Dehradun, Uttarakhand. Ladies and gentlemen, before starting the proceedings of the program, let us invoke the blessings of Goddess of Knowledge, Ma Saraswati, by Saraswati Vandana.
आईडी बताओ, हम डाल देंगे। करो, डालो आईडी डालो तो। हेलो हेलो, अरे अपन
समझे हम भी तो जाने विद्या का हमको वरदान दे माँ हे शारदे माँ हे शारदे माँ अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ हे शारदे माँ हे शारदे माँ अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ। तू श्वेत वर्णी कमल पे विराजे हाथों में वीणा मुकुट सर पे साजे तू श्वेत वर्णी कमल पे विराजे हाथों में वीणा मुकुट सर पे साजे मन से हमारे मिटा के अंधेरे हमको उजालों का संसार दे माँ हे शारदे माँ हे शारदे माँ अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ हे शारदे माँ हे शारदे माँ अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ हे शारदे माँ हे शारदे माँ अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ हे शारदे माँ हे शारदे माँ अज्ञानता से हमें तार दे माँ।
That was invoking the blessings from Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom and knowledge. Now, I request Honorable Director, Dolphin PG Institute, Dr. Arun Kumar, for the formal welcome of the guests and participants and to brief us all about Dolphin Institute.
Thank you, Prerna. A very good afternoon to the Honorable Chief Guest of the webinar, Shri Ashok Mindlas, Chairman Mindlas Biotech Limited, Dehradun, and Mr. Peter Harrington, serial entrepreneur and CEO, Ventures Simulations Limited, United Kingdom. He also provides supports as an entrepreneur in residence at London South Bank University and London School of Economics. We welcome him as a guest speaker for today's webinar on validation of startup ideas. Participant, first thing which strike a young entrepreneur is how much does it cost to launch a startup? According to CB Insights, it has never been easier to build a startup ventures thanks to open source technologies and online tools. The cost of launching a startup declined from 5 million US dollars in year 2000 to less than $5,000 today. The funding is no longer a prerequisite for launching and growing startup ideas. Bootstrapped or funded, you have everything you need to go to market quickly and inexpensively. LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman once said, "The only way to scale is to do things that don't scale." Many entrepreneurs worry too much about their 1,000 customer and their future $100 million business when they haven't even acquired the first customer. In a competitive and uncertain market where most startups fail, entrepreneurs should be very careful about the step they take to launch and should validate startup ideas before aiming for the stars. Let me share with you, young friends, Our institute is also built on the dreams of a young entrepreneur, Shri Arvind Gupta, who happens to be the founder chairman of Dolphin Institute. Friends, he realized that the demand for qualified youngsters in the field of natural sciences is perennial and ever enlarging across the globe, especially in past decades due to rapid industrialization. At the same time, the third world developing countries are at the verge of a population explosion and need more and more health care. Recently, WHO has laid great emphasis on generating more biomedical professionals to cater the needs of rural population in these countries. He knew that the above goals can only be achieved by educating more youngsters in this field. With the above objectives, the Dolphin Postgraduate Institute of Biomedical and Natural Sciences, Dehradun, a self-financed postgraduate college, was established in the year 2002 with the dedicated effort of this outstanding gentleman. Initially, the college started with undergraduate programs in forestry, medical microbiology, medical lab technology, and physiotherapy. Subsequently, postgraduate programs in medical lab technology, microbiology, biotechnology, pharmaceutical chemistry, biochemistry, and physiotherapy were introduced in the year 2003. Postgraduate programs in industrial biotechnology and chemistry were added in 2007 and 8, and simultaneously the college started undergraduate programs in agriculture and postgraduate programs in zoology, botany, and forestry in the year 2011. And of course, in horticulture, agronomy, and physics from the academic section 2015-16. Diversifying ourselves further, the commerce stream was introduced from the academic session 2016 and 17. Currently, we have we have the enrollment of approximately 2,700 students in the above programs. The college feels pride in sharing with you that during the academic session 2019-20, four girl students of the college secured overall first position with gold medal in the university in MSc programs in biochemistry, biotechnology, microbiology, and pharmaceutical chemistry. Our strength is in over 100 highly qualified, dedicated, and experienced faculties from reputed Indian universities and many renowned medical and paramedical colleges with a backup of more than 43 fully outfitted laboratories for different streams. The institute is affiliated to HNB Garhwal Central University, Srinagar, Uttarakhand, and is approved by the Ministry of Health, Government of Uttarakhand. Well, young participants, doing things that don't scale is an approach that will help you minimize risks, cost, and uncertainty while maximizing the future success rates. Follow the steps to launch startups ventures by doing things that Mr. Peter Harrington is going to talk to you today. I wish each one of you great success in your future ventures. Thank you all. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your address. I now request Dr. Sanjay Agarwal, convener of the webinar, to tell us about the webinar.
Thank you, Prerna. The chief guest of the day, Mr. Ashok Vindlarji. Keynote speaker, Mr. Peter Harrington. Management of the Dolphin Institute and administration of the Dolphin Institute, their faculty members and the participants. As we are very much familiar with the slogan, an idea can change your life. Here I want to mention one thing, that an idea not only change our life, but changes life of all of us. You can take the example of electricity, mobile phone, television, X-ray, internet. A long list of inventions are there. But here I want to mention that huge time as well as cost is involved in flourishing all these ideas. Thousands of ideas are generated in one mind every day, But how to validate these ideas? Can we validate them without prototyping? It's always an area of research for all of us, as our directors have said, that the cost of
नमस्कार करो तो हेलो मैम बोल
kindly unmute yourself. Directors have said that the cost of launching a startup declined from $5 million to $5,000, and the credit goes to presence of open source technologies, softwares, and online tools. As a result of number of startups increased significantly. Today we are blessed with the presence of our keynote speaker, Mr. Harrington, a serial entrepreneur and a CEO of Sim Venture Simulation Limited, UK, and visiting faculty of London School of Economics and London South Bank University, who has developed tools and algorithm for ideas validation. He will explain the process of idea validation. I hope after attending this webinar, you may be able to validate your ideas and able to flourish your own startups. Thank you very much.
मैम आपका म्यूट है रीना मैम
I request the participants to please mute yourself during the course of the program and only unmute yourself during the question and answer session. Thank you. I now request Dr. Shiva Jauhari, Assistant Professor, Department of Agriculture, to introduce us all to our honorable chief guest. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of Dolphin Pidge Institute, I welcome you, sir. And it's a great opportunity for me to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Ashok Kumar Vindlas. Mr. Ashok Kumar Vindlas is a well-known industrialist in the state of Uttarakhand. He holds a degree in civil engineering and has been a quintessential entrepreneur since last 50 years and has been responsible for the growth of Vindlas family in various verticals like real estate, pharma, steel crafts, commercial complex, ready-made garments, parts and accessories used for drilling equipments in oil exploration field, etc. His father, late Shri Ved Prakash Vindlas ji, was the founder of Vindlas Group and laid the foundation of a dream back in 1943 by establishing Vindlas Steel Craft, a unit of manufacturing of Gurkha Kurkis, edged weapons, period clothing armor, with its supply to discerning collectors, reenactors, history buffs, and to defense forces of many countries. Mr. Ashok Vindlas has joined the business in 1968, and since then he is actively involved in the foray of the group. Mr. Ashok Vindlas has entered a pharmaceutical sector with the formation of Vindlas Biotech in 2000. And today, Vindlas Biotech is one of the India's fastest growing companies with a turnover of approximately 325 crore rupees. Further to this, it has been his drive and dedication which has led to the conceptualization and establishment of the Vindlas Healthcare Private Limited and US FDA approved medicine facilities. He remains actively involved in important strategy decisions of all the group companies. He also plays a vital role in the pharmaceutical industry through his leadership role in various pharmaceutical associations of the state and the national level. He is chief patron of Federation of Pharmaceutical Entrepreneurs, that is FOPE, chief patron of Chamber of Devabhumi Pharma Industries, and chairman of Confederation of Indian Industries, that is CII, for Uttarakhand region. Now I invite you for your inaugural address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Myself,
Namaskar, sir.
Ashok.
Namaskar, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I pay my best regards to all the participants and the organizers too, who have organized this very good webinar on a very urgent subject also. And I have been actually traveling, so I just joined in this meeting. But I have all the best wishes for successful holding of this webinar and the results out of it. So not what many words. I would like to that this should be started, and my my best wishes along with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your blessings. I again request Dr. Shiva Jauhari to introduce us all to our honorable keynote speaker.
Thank you, Prerna ma'am, for giving me opportunity to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Peter Harrington, serial entrepreneur and CEO of simventure.com. On behalf of Dolphin Pigeon Institute, I once again welcome you, sir, in this webinar, and it's a great honor for me to introduce yourself. Peter Harrington, he is serial entrepreneur. Peter Harrington has been creating and growing companies since graduation in New York, UK in 1989. Over 3 decades, he has employed 1,000+ people and created and built businesses in the fields of research, marketing, design, print, consultancy, and education technology. In 2005, Peter founded Venture Simulations Limited with his brother Paul, and this company develops and supplies the award-winning SimVenture business simulation learning solutions to education and corporate clients in 40+ countries. When not traveling and working at VSL, Peter provides support as an entrepreneur in residence at London South Bank University and London School of Economics. To support entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship education around the world, Peter also publishes the Startup Survival podcast as well as the blog, The Hitchhiker's Guide to Entrepreneurship. Now I invite you for your lecture on validation of startups ideas. Over to you, sir.
Sir,
Sir, you are
please unmute yourself, sir.
Now that's a start. Thank you, Dr. Jauhari. Thank you, Dr. Agwal and Dr. Kumar, for that introduction. That's very kind. I'm going to share my screen. Can I just have permission to share the screen? Oh, I've got it. That's
Yes,
great.
sir. Yes, you can, sir.
Okay. So good morning from the UK. Good afternoon to everybody in India. Can you just tell me whether you can see my screen?
Not now, sir.
Can you see my screen now?
No.
No, sir.
You start sharing, sir.
Okay.
There is a share
right.
screen button. Share screen button is there. And the green color button is there on your screen,
Yeah,
sir.
it's there. I'm just trying to press the right button. Okay.
Yes. Now it's visible, sir.
Now it's visible.
Okay. Right. Do you have the whole screen?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here with you. I think the introduction sort of says it all, but my name is Peter Harrington, and I have spent the last 30 years setting up and growing companies and learning what it takes to take an idea to market and ensure that it succeeds. And in that journey, I have made many mistakes and have had ideas that have failed. And it's really much more important that I share those mistakes and failures with you rather than tell you about the successes, because genuinely, it is so much easier to fail and get things wrong than it is to succeed. So I really hope this next half hour saves you not just a few hours or even days or weeks. I hope this saves you months of time, because genuinely what I'm about to share with you I write about, I produce podcasts about, and I lecture about around the world. And we've even developed products which are all based on this thinking. So I really hope that this inspires you to develop your idea in a way that gives it the greatest chance of working. Now, to do this, I want to kick off with a story. It's a story, well, actually, it's a tragedy. It's a bit like a Shakespearean tragedy in 3 parts. And I want to share this story because this is such a common story as to how so many people all over the world, and I'm not talking about hundreds or thousands, I'm talking about how hundreds of millions of people all over the world go about developing an idea. And it goes something like this. They sit in their room, or maybe a garden shed, or somewhere quiet, because they've come up with a brilliant idea. An idea that they think is going to bring them fame and fortune, or at least give them a wonderful opportunity to be an entrepreneur. And they're so pleased with their idea, they don't want to tell anyone else because they might steal their brilliant idea. And all they want to do is focus on making that idea fantastic. So they work on their own. They do some social media, and they do also build a website because they can do that and it reflects progress. And it also makes them feel like they're on their way to success. But eventually, the second part of this story must play out. And this second part is eventually, well, they've got to take it to market. They've developed it, they've worked on it, and now they're going to release it to the world. They're going to announce it on social media, and they're going to take it to market. This wonderful idea that's going to make them a fortune, which they've told no one about, not even a mentor. And when they take it to market and they share it with people who are customers, it is rejected because it's not quite right, or it's actually really wrong. The price is wrong. Maybe they actually want a lot more of that product, but the supplier can't make that many. There are just things that are wrong with the product. And someone suggests, well, I can get that somewhere else. I can do it in a different way. And in this second part of the story, so determined is the entrepreneur that they're right, that they even argue with customers that the customer's wrong and that the entrepreneur is right. But customers don't like people who argue with them. They just argue back or disappear. No sale. And then the third part of this tragedy is the entrepreneur goes back home, back to their room, back to their shed, and really has lost all motivation to do anything more with this great idea, which they're still convinced is a great idea, even though nobody wants it. And they put it in a drawer, and they think of another idea, and they repeat this tragedy. And this happens all over the world, all the time. And this screw up of thinking results in no progress at all. And I see it all the time, and I've actually been involved with it personally 30 years ago when I developed my first product. Genuinely, it was quite similar to that, and I don't want you to fall into this trap. So what is actually going wrong? Let's understand the principles of the wrong way to think. So this is what most people do. These are the secrets of what most people do who get it wrong. First of all, they just have one idea. They don't have several, they have one idea, and they follow it passionately. They're so passionate that they want to work on their own, and they avoid any kind of advice because they know it, and that they've discovered and tripped up on something so magical, so fantastical, that they couldn't possibly tell anyone else because they're just going to steal their idea, and they're not having that. So they work on their own. And as they work on their own, so they build up truths in their own minds, and I will talk about this a bit later, that they absolutely believe this is going to be a surefire success. And they know they're right because they've seen other people sell similar things, but they're now providing it at half the price. So they believe people and potential customers will just buy it because people are rational. If they see something cheaper, they're bound to buy it because we always buy cheaper things, right? Obviously, they continue to keep their ideas secret, and they believe that they are the next Mark Zuckerberg because we heard in the media that Mark Zuckerberg made Facebook famous. He had one shot at one idea, and look how successful Mark Zuckerberg is. And I'm going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. And the other advantage I have over Mark Zuckerberg is that he didn't have social media when he started his Facebook business. Now I've got social media. I've got lots of followers on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And I am going to tell them all about my wonderful product, my marvelous idea on social media. And they will all be rational and go, oh, how wonderful, I must buy it straight away. Or at least I must tell other people how wonderful you are. And of course, they're not going to give any feedback which might suggest you change what you've done, and you will just stick with your idea all the way through development, straight to launch. And you won't look at any competitors in any kind of detail because you are better than competitors. They're stupid. You're far better. If only they'd had your wisdom and insight, they would be doing as well as you. And your product is unique. And you don't need any advice because no one has ever seen the world like you. Genuinely, this is how most entrepreneurs think when they've got their first idea. And I'm not talking about most as 51%. It's into the 90s and possibly over 95%. And it always results in failure. The thing is, you've got to think differently. And that's what I want to share with you now is how do you think and work and act so that you give your potential customers what they want. And one of the first ways to think is stop thinking about making products and services. You don't make products and services. Customers don't buy products or services. Customers buy solutions to problems. And the bigger, more urgent the problem, the faster they will buy it. I'm going to refer you to a book at the end called All in Startup by Diana Kanda, who I've known for years. I've recently interviewed for the Startup Survival podcast. And Diana Kanda, in that book, All in Startup, which is brilliant, and you must buy it if you're serious about being an entrepreneur. It will help you immensely, fast track your thinking, and get you where you want to be far more quickly. But the key thing is that people buy solutions to problems, and also people buy a solution to a problem when it's a migraine in their life. When something's just a bit of a headache, we put it off, we wait, we pass the time. But when something's a real migraine in our life, we've got to do it. We go all out to find that solution and we pay for it. So this is what you have to do. And this is the way to think as an entrepreneur who wants to be successful. Now, trust me, this is no guarantee to success, but this way of thinking is going to lead you towards success because everything depends on what product or service you've got. But this is the way you think. First of all, accept that people are what I call Red Bull irrational. People don't just buy things because it's cheaper. And people also buy products like Red Bull, even though all the market research in Thailand, when it was going to be launched more globally, all the market research said, this drink is disgusting. Why would anybody drink this? I think this is the worst drink I've ever tasted, said people as part of that market research. Yet Red Bull sells so many drinks now, it funds a Formula One team. So people are irrational. people don't behave in the way you expect them to. The other thing is, I will be talking about doing customer research and how you have to appreciate people's irrationality when you do that research. When you have an idea, have more than one idea. Have plenty of ideas. The ideas may be quite similar, but don't stick to one. And the key thing is that you've got to do at the outset is talk to people and get to know their views and perspectives. Ask them questions. Listen to what they're saying. Remember, you don't sell a product, you are going to provide solutions to problems. You're not in sales mode here, you're purely in research mode. And actually what you're looking for is people who go, no, I wouldn't get that because of this, this and this. Okay, why is that? Because this is gold dust information, but you only want to be talking to people who might actually buy your product, someone in your target market. Whatever you do, whilst you can practice talking and doing research with members of your family and friends, when it actually comes to it, don't do research with members of your family or friends, because if you talk to your grandma or your sister and you say, I've got a great idea, what do you think? They'll go, oh, brilliant. Yes, well, if that's what you're doing, you go and do it. That's all wonderful. They will emotionally respond to you. They won't logically. They will be irrational in their response. You need to talk to people, ideally you don't know, that are in your target market. And even then, you have to appreciate that they may just want to tell you what you want to hear. Because if they don't really have the time for you, they will just be thinking, how can I get on with something else rather than talk to this person? These independent views, probably about 100 to make something robust, are really important. And one way to get people to be more rational with their response is to hide your interest in the idea. So rather than saying, hi, I'm thinking of setting up a business, I've got this idea, what do you think? Say, a friend of mine has come to me with this idea. I'm not sure about it. What do you think? And suddenly their relationship with you is taken out of the equation. Seeking out people who disagree with you is really important. And going back to Mark Zuckerberg, with Facebook, he actually went and found people who used a competitor product before he launched to find out, would they use Facebook and why wouldn't they, and what's not good enough about Facebook and how could they make it better? This is gold dust information, because the whole ideation phase is all about testing, checking your assumptions, changing, pivoting, developing new ideas, because you might hear wonderful things from people when you go, hey, that's another solution to a problem. Now, in India, I really don't know, and I apologize, but you may not know about Eddie Izzard. But Eddie Izzard is a famous British stand-up comedian. And if you had heard of him, fantastic. You can Google him. I find him hilarious and very, very funny. He runs marathons. He raises a lot of money for very good causes. But Eddie Izzard became a very successful comedian in about 91, 92. But in his book called Believe, he talks about how it took a decade to learn his craft and his trade. And, because when he started, the audience feedback was very muted. And he had to work and change and see how people responded. And it was by 91, 92, he had huge audiences on their feet. He had learned by getting feedback and changing and pivoting, because the solution that he had to deliver was to really entertain people and get them to laugh. And by practicing like this, you build what's called myelin in your brains. And myelin is very, very important, because I'm sure some of you are footballers, tennis players, musicians, and the skill of when we develop any skill, as well as possibly developing muscles in our fingers and our arms, etc., we also develop what's called myelin in the nerve fibers in the brain. And when we're doing something really, really well, and we get better and better, and we find we can get quicker and quicker, and we almost don't have to think about it, The reason that happens is we're developing myelin in the brain. So if you take a footballer who can just do keepy uppies with the football, to begin with, you might be able to do 2 or 3 and the ball drops on the floor. But over time, with constant practice, not only can they keep the ball up 20, 30, 40 times, but they don't even think about it. Think about riding a bike. When you first rode a bike, it was incredibly difficult. Now, everything's in your unconscious mind, because it's just a program that your brain just picks up and just allows you to perform without you having to think about it, because myelin is wrapped around all of the cords within your brain, and it allows you to perform that task. So building myelin by learning about your audience is really, really important. Now, it goes without question, you've got to know about your competition, and you've got to know why you add clear value. But be very careful here. Don't fall into the trap of looking at the competition and you'll say, oh, we're cheaper, or well, our pedals are better, or well, our packaging's more attractive. Because you've got to check that assumption is what customers want. Is that important to customers? Because if it isn't important that you're cheaper, then you haven't solved a problem. All you've done is you've imposed your own assumptions. Now, this might all sound quite a lot of hard work. It is. It's layers of work, and this is why people don't do it, and they think, I'll just do it the easy way, the lazy way, and then it doesn't work. But one way to help yourself is to collaborate, work with one other person, maybe 2. As long as you think like each other and you work together, you can get things done. But you've got to make sure that you follow all of the points I've suggested to you. And if you are setting up a new organization, another thing to do is look out for organizations which might provide financial support in the research and development phase. In the UK, we have organizations which do that because they want to encourage startups to do the job properly, because otherwise it's like what we call a house of cards. In other words, if you set up a business which is not based on customer interest and customer involvement, then it just falls down when you try and launch it. Now, at the beginning, I mentioned that I wanted to recommend the book by Diana Kander, All in Startup. Genuinely, this is one of the greatest books ever written for entrepreneurs ever. I was in San Diego and we were exhibiting with the SimVenture team, and someone said, you should meet Diana Kander, she's here. And Diana had just published this book, All in Startup. 7 manuscripts it took to develop this one book, because she had a whole posse of people giving her feedback about that book before they published. When she did publish, it was a New York Times bestseller. It absolutely broke records. It's a brilliant read, and it emphasizes everything I'm saying. And the great thing is, if like me, you don't like reading textbooks, this is all written as a story. This is all written as a novel based in Las Vegas. It's great fun to read, but there are so many crucial lessons in it. And she's also just published Curiosity Muscle. And to be honest with you, the main message that she's giving us all is be curious, ask questions, learn, and absorb what you're getting. And the more curious you are, the far more likely you are to discover problems and therefore create solutions which people want. I also mentioned, or it was mentioned earlier, I published the Startup Survival podcast. It's all free. If you like what you're hearing now, go and get various episodes from Series 1 and Series 2, all about starting up and surviving as an entrepreneur. And the 2 latest podcasts in Series 2 are all about everything I've just talked about today. And also, if you want to, you can find me on LinkedIn. And if you mention that you were at this particular event, you can connect with me. But 2 things before I finish. One is Steve Jobs, Apple. He found and he knew that opportunity exists, not in computers. He found it was at the intersection of things. He realized that if he fused technology and creativity, he could come up with something, and he did. And hence, Apple products are just so popular. And I think it is the richest company in the world, but it's the beauty and the technology fused together. And that's what I would encourage you to do. If you are a musician and a technologist, put the two together. Don't just apply one skill that you may have. And this is why it's good to team up. And the final thing I just want to mention, that is me a few years ago, winning the BET Award, which is the most prestigious award you can get in the UK for an educational product. And there are 1,700 people in the audience. And the story of Simventure, the company where I'm CEO, goes right back to 2001, when I'd been running businesses for 12 years. And I could not understand, why were we still training people to start up and run businesses by sitting them down and telling them about theory? What I strongly believed is that to learn about business and entrepreneurship, you need to do things. You need to act. You need to learn by making mistakes and understanding consequences of decisions. And this was why I thought a simulation was the right answer. But that idea for simulation was in 2001. The team, which was just two of us, because I haven't got the technology skills, so I spoke to my brother. The team was made of two of us. We spent 5 years thinking and developing and crucially talking to people in our target market about, if we did this, what would you want? How would it work for you? Can we show you a basic prototype? Do you like this? What else would you need? All the time. It wasn't about selling, it was about gathering information. And it took 5 years until we launched in 2006. When the business launched, it took off. And 2 years later, it won the most prestigious award it could win. And we beat organizations like the BBC and other internationally famous organizations that have far more resources than us. And as a result of winning that BET Award in 2008, the company and news about what we did went viral. And hence that opened the door to exporting into so many countries, because people could then see Simventure, our first product back then, Simventure Classic. And then we developed a whole client base around the world and we launched new products. So we've launched Simventure Evolution. All of these are simulators allowing you to run a virtual company. And we've since launched Simventure Validate, which allows you to validate any business idea all online in teams on your own. But it's the process of developing ideas in a sustainable way. So I think I've probably just about come to the end of my time there. I hope this has been valuable. The key thing here is not to rush, to take your time and to be humble and ask good questions. Listen, and what you're really looking for is people who disagree with you, because they offer you gold dust. And if you apply this process, not just now, but to future or all ideas, I guarantee you have so much better chance of being successful with what you do. And on that note, I'll close. Thank you ever so much for listening. I really hope this has been helpful.
Thank you, sir. And congratulations for the BET Awards. And once again, thank you for igniting the young minds and the budding entrepreneurs with the standard idea theory, how to convert from tragedy to opportunity, role of mentoring, avoiding shortcut mindsets, change in the thinking patterns, brainstorming different ideas and others. And I'm sure all the participants will definitely imbibe these wisdom words coming from serial entrepreneur. Thank you again.
Thank you, Prerna ma'am. If anybody want to ask, have any query or want to ask something from our keynote speaker, you can unmute yourself and ask. Before that, I want to invite Vindas sir, please add your experiences.
Well, thank you so much, Sanjay ji. This actually has been very, very enlightening and very, very knowledgeable with the experience from the experience of the learned speaker. And much of the will be benefited all the new entrepreneurs and even the established companies can take lot of notes, lot of ideas out of the whole psychology that has been explained to decide about a new item, new anything which be to be added into the market. Going on to that, it's a very great thoughts, and I take it very receptively with so much thanks with the kind of experience the learned speaker has. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So anybody else have any query? Just to testing your ideas. Yes, Sri Gupta, do you want to ask something? Sri Gupta. Hello, yes, yes, please.
I think Sanjay ji, you can read his question and tell it to Peter.
If you have any problem in connectivity, you can put your question into the chat box. We can ask your question, we can ask your queries on your behalf.
Shall I, Mr. Peter Haring, Shri Gupta, one of the participants has a question which says, could you please tell me where we can share business idea?
Well, you can share a business idea with your own friends, family, community. I'm sure if you Google share a business idea community, you will also find all kinds of things which I'm unaware of. But it's what I would say is that entrepreneurship starts with you. It starts with you acting and being curious and finding these things out, and not relying on other people to have always have the answers, because quite often the answers aren't there. So that's honestly, I think being a member on LinkedIn is very valuable, and building a community on there of people who you can talk to. It doesn't happen straight away. You can't just magic up a community. You have to build trust with people, and that takes time. And this is the one thing that puts people off entrepreneurship. They want quick, rich, sort of, or quick fix solution. It doesn't work like that. But hopefully there are some ideas as how to share ideas with other people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. There is another very interesting question, sir.
Dr. Sunil Kumar
It says, are there any age foundation for startups? Somebody wants to know, one of the participants wants to know, sir, are there any age foundation for startups? I don't understand what actually you mean. He said, yeah.
Sorry.
Age foundation, sir. He said, is there any age limit for starting for startup?
Is there any age limit? Absolutely not. I think the thing to bear in mind is that as you get older, so responsibility increases, and also your brain changes too. When you're younger, because of the way that the pre-medial frontal cortex is, you are far happier to take risks when you're younger, but you're also more impulsive. So the key thing here is to learn to train the brain. But I would, if you're younger, that is the time I would start out, because you've got fewer responsibilities and you have a greater aptitude for risk. The key thing is to involve people who can give you different perspectives and help check you when you may be being too impulsive.
Thank you, sir. There is another question, which I'm quoting it. I quote, sir, as you said, every product is a solution. Can you please suggest some red ocean idea strategies? Unquote, sir. This is from one of the participants.
Okay, so I wouldn't say every product is a solution, but the way you need to look at this is, look, products are solutions to problems. So a product can only exist if it actually solves a problem right now for a customer. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't know about red ocean strategies. So I'm just going to hold my hands up and go, sorry. Would the person asking the question like to shed a bit more light on that?
And
So there is one more question. What should be the main or principal focus while anyone validating their own startup ideas?
Yeah.
Okay, I will repeat some of the things I've mentioned. The main focus is be curious and ask questions and gather opinions and feedback from other people you don't know, and listen and tune into what they're saying rather than challenging them. Because what happens is, when we have an idea, if we really like it, we become emotionally attached to it. But when other people say they don't like it or they don't think it's any good, it can feel like personal rejection. And we all learn, particularly in our teenage and 20s, we don't like rejection. Rejection's not pleasant. And therefore, we typically run away from it or we tackle it. But neither strategy works. You just have to listen and try and understand why someone doesn't like your idea or is challenging it.
Another question from the same participant. How can a person be assured about their startup ideas?
Well, now therein lies the $64 million question.
Yes,
the answer to that is you can't. All you can be is a better judge of chances of success. Because if we could be assured that it's going to be successful, everybody would do it. The thing is what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a marriage. You're trying to say, okay, I'm going to create a solution to a problem, and these people will therefore give me money or whatever for that. And you won't know until you launch. All I would say is that the more testing you can do to check that that marriage is going to be secure, the more likely you are going to be successful.
That's a great idea, sir.
Thank you.
I think it applies to all of us. Thank you very much, sir.
Can I just say, let's put this into a dating context.
Yeah.
If you just walk up to another person because you like them and say, can I date you? The chances are you will be rejected. Yes. But if you actually get to know them, find out about them, show that you're trustworthy, you like them, they like you, you understand each other, and then you might say, can we go on a date? The chances are you're much greater. However, nothing is guaranteed, and you will always feel that knot in your stomach when you ask the question.
Good, sir. And the idea behind the validation of your idea is the art of questioning, that how much you are good in preparation of your questions and how much you are honest to answer them.
Sorry, was the question how we came about the idea for the SimVenture product?
Yes. If you want, you can tell your success story also, sir.
Okay, so I set up my first business in 1989, and it grew and it succeeded. Although there were mistakes all the way along the line. But what I did see was a lot of startup failure, a huge amount. Far more people failed than succeeded. And when I went back to a training event 10 years later for startups, I couldn't understand why were so many people failing, but the training hadn't changed. It's a bit like saying, we know the car's going to break down if we mend it in this way. Let's just mend it in this way. Oh, what a surprise. It's broken down again. So people were applying a formula which wasn't working, and also having been in business and understood what it's like to start up and run a business and grow businesses, I realized that a lot of the training people was giving was inaccurate. It didn't address a lot of the problems you faced when you were starting and growing a business. So I knew that if we could fuse better content with a different way in which people could learn, so we put the learner at the heart of the process where they're making decisions and dealing with consequences, I didn't know, but I was fairly certain this could be a solution. And when we looked at competitors, I thought, well, those competitors aren't very good because those simulations are not authentic. They're kind of making it up. So if we built an authentic simulation, which allow people in a real simulated world to make the kind of decisions they will have to be making, and if we test that and get lots of feedback to get it right, then we're potentially onto something. But like the person who asked the question 5 minutes ago, it wasn't guaranteed, but as it's happened, it's turned out to be very successful.
So thank you. Pragati, do you
Harrington,
want to ask
just
something?
Sanjay, just a minute. Mr.
Okay.
Harrington, will you allow? Can I ask a last question on behalf of the audience?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I quote: "Is Pareto principle really helpful in business as per your concern?"
Oh, is the Pareto principle? Is that what they're asking about the 80-20 rule?
Yes, 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 sir.
Yeah, it is. It crops up so often, the 80-20 rule. 80% of your customers or 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers. The 80-20 rule genuinely does work. And what I would like to say is one final thing is apply the 80-20 rule when you're doing your customer discovery, when you're asking questions, when you're seeing people. In other words, let them talk for 80% of the time, so that you should only be asking the questions, open questions, and letting them talk to you. You're not there to try and sell them your idea. You're there to try and get information from them, so you better understand whether your product or service that you want to develop actually does solve a problem.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harrington. Thank you. I think this is all. So, and
Thank you, sir, for sharing your success story and for answering the queries of the participants. I now request Dr. C.S. Pandey, Head, Department of Agriculture, Dolphin Institute, and Member Organizing Committee, to propose a vote of thanks.
Before that, I want to ask one question from the participant side. Pragati Mahata is there. She is our student. I quote, "Sir, idea sharing to everyone may be risky, isn't it?"
Am I sharing this presentation? Is that what you said?
No, idea sharing, sir.
Right. Sorry, I didn't hear the question properly, Dr. Agwal.
Sir, idea sharing is to everyone may be risky, isn't it?
Well, if you want to share the absolute source material, if you want to share the fundamental plans of what you're doing, that may be risky. But if you just share hypothetical questions like, look, I'm thinking of creating a new calculator, do you think there might be a market for it? Then that's not risky at all. It's how you ask the questions and what you know, the way you do it is all important. I suggest listen to podcast 2 in series 2, because that podcast addresses that question.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So over to Dr. C.S. Pandey for vote of thanks. Dr. C.S. Pandey.
आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट कीजिए सर.
अनम्यूट कर दीजिए.
Now is it?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible.
Oh. Good evening. Honorable Chairman, sir, Shri Arvind Gupta ji, respected Mr. Peter Harrington, serial entrepreneur and CEO, Simventure, CO.UK, Great Britain, Mr. Ashok Windlas, Chairman, Windlas Biotech Limited, Dehradun, Uttarakhand, and all the participants. It is a great honor for me to propose a vote of thanks to all those learned personalities who have witnessed it as a memorable and successful international webinar on validation of startup. I, on my behalf and on behalf of organizing committee, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Mr. Peter Harrington for delivering highly valuable lecture and interactive session to all of us. You have explained in detail about the validation of startup ideas. Sir, in spite of your extremely busy schedule, you readily and happily agreed on such short request and took out valuable time out of your busy schedule. We are grateful, we are graced with extremely important, exotic, and practical understanding of validation of startup ideas. I am sure participants must have been benefited immensely. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to Mr. Peter Harrington. Thank you, sir. I
Thank you.
also wish to express my gratitude to Dr. Shaljapan, Principal, Dr. Arun Kumar, Director Dolphin, Mr. Vinod Nagpal, Additional Director, Mr. Sunil Kaul, Joint Director, Mr. Vipul Garg, Dolphin, DSWC, Dr. Sanjay Kumar Agrawal, Head, Capacity Building and Display Development Cell, Dr. Shruti Sharma, IQAC, and last but not the least, Mr. Sujit TK and his team for all time technical and untiring support in organizing this international webinar. We are very grateful to Shri Arvind Gupta ji, Chairman DIBNS, for giving us an opportunity for organizing this international webinar. I heartily congratulate all the participants for their interest and response and their active participation in this international webinar. As no program can become successful with a single person, so I extend my big thanks to all, big thanks to our all volunteers. Thank you to all those who contributed to this event directly or indirectly. Thank you, one and all. Have a wonderful day and joyful day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
So
you
now
very
we
much.
conclude
Thank you,
the
Peter,
session.
sir. Thank you, Ashok ji.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all
And
for
those,
joining us today.
those who want to take the selfie, they can own their camera and take the selfie. कैमरा ऑन करके आप लोग सेल्फी ले सकते हैं.
I want a selfie.
Thank you all for joining us today. Have a great day ahead. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, sir. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar, sir.